It's time for me to get back into the very strange world of werewolves and eco-friendly movements. We're about halfway through the first round. Am I going to be able to get through the second round tonight? Possibly. So, I might have to realign the screen here. I'm thinking I do, because it was a different layout than the other one. Let's see here. Alright, Heart of the Forest. Let's see. Yep, oh yeah, definitely. Okay, let's fix this up real quick. Nope, not me. Alright. So, we are now halfway through the game for Werewolf the Apocalypse Haunted Forest. For those of you who are not here for the first section of this game, basically, I am an individual who has been getting dreams of me being in a forest that has a very big spiritual conscience within. And it was filling me with very visceral imagery that kind of involves me as a wolf. So I go there with a college friend of mine over to this little quaint town in Poland, where I meet up with some friends and explore the forest that was basically inkling my mind to quite a degree. And I found out that I am becoming one with the forest, and the forest has chosen me as its champion. And we also find out that, well, people are basically logging the hell out of this place, and it doesn't seem to have a clear-cut good and evil aspect. So, alongside Carnell, who was the spiritual hippie werewolf of the bunch, we tried to go to a peaceful protest with Olga, who is in opposition, wants to just tear everything apart in a visceral fashion. And then one time, when we tried to basically put up a banner around the church, we get ourselves cornered by some hunters, we get attacked, and I end up almost dying, except I didn't give up, and I became a werewolf. So, through that encounter, unfortunately, my very first image came true, and the one werewolf hippie that I was sided with this entire time, the head that was in the first vision, happened to be Carnell's. So, I was not in the best mood of that, and I'm gonna say, toughen it up, you're a werewolf now, get used to it. It's like, the bloody hell are you talking about? You shouldn't be like this. Oh wait, that's right, you're one of those heathens that wants to just use anger as an outlet for your aggression. You just gave in to rage too much. And that's the thing with this game. It's all controlling your rage and your willpower. If you run out of willpower, you don't have the capacity to basically get yourself out of mental situations. And if you give in to your rage, you lose control. Basically. Like a berserker, so to speak. And of course, if you go down to 0 health, you are dead unless there are other stipulations that come up. And that's where we are. We made it into quite a pivotal moment. And now, it's time for us to continue. So, oh, hold on here. There we go. Alright, so, I'm gonna go ahead and continue. And it's time for my narration because this is part of a visual novel experience. Lost in Woods. So it has this interesting Photoshop aesthetic to it, where it combines this, and you can see images of wolves like scattered throughout, like a lost and found or who's who, or whatever that game is where you can have to find all the objects in the place. The morning smelled of safety, fur, earth, and the forest. I opened my eyes and saw other people curling up to me, the muzzles resting on the poles as they slept. Gently snoring filled the warm space under the low-hanging branches of an old spruce tree. Now, if I do this decision, I will be down on willpower here. Let's just go outside in this case. Stepping over the sleeping forms, I made my way outside. Alone, hiding in the tall grass, I sniffed around. The sky was bright, and the forest around me was dark and full of interesting smells. High in the trees, birds yelled about status, sex, and violence. Wait, I can know what birds are thinking now? And birds think about sex too? Something was wrong with that picture. Something wasn't right. My brain wasn't working as it should. The smells were too strong. The grass was too tall. There was a quality I couldn't recall that was missing from the view in front of me. A creature stirred in bushes nearby. A tall, dark silhouette. A strangely familiar smell. I wonder if it's Olga. No, it's a male, I believe. So maybe the one person that stuttered? I forget the name. I think it was Russell or something. I tensed up. And watched the human as they looked around. Maria, there you are, they said, when they noticed me. It was time to get out of there. I spasmed. Suddenly, a feeling like cramp or a spasm surged through me and everything changed. I was Homid, the human form. What does this mean? Indicates a change in me as... Oh! So I was a wolf there, but now I'm human again. My body started resetting itself to the familiar shape. And it hurt. Yeah, I heard that it was painful, especially if you've seen that American Werewolf in London transformation, that famous one that was made with all practical effects. Not like CGI or anything back there. Yeah, I can see how being a werewolf can be painful unless you have a fetish for that. Yep, pain. Bones broke and fused again. Muscles and sinews moved under my skin. I cried and thrashed. Then, panting and sweaty. Hey, Rampage Sigma, greetings and salutations to you. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you here. We are just continuing my adventures with Werewolf the Apocalypse after I just finished up on Gurogoa. A very lovely puzzle game, by the way. I was very impressed. I was Homed again. So that's what they call their human selves. I hit the ground with my bare ass. Colors exploded. The morning breeze suddenly became cold, and I shivered. It's time for us to look up. Confused, I looked at the person approaching me. Oh, Olga. Ugh, this is gonna be fun. Get dressed. Olga threw me a bundle of clothes. And stay human. They won't survive the change. Not until Lisa deems that you're worthy to learn the right, at least. We looked at each other. As for what you saw yesterday, she added quietly, it had to be done. Really? It had to be done? They're the violent types, mind you. I took the bundle. I guess I have no choice in this. I snatched the bundle and started pulling the clothes on. Sturdy but comfortable boots, cargo pants, a green hoodie. They fit perfectly. I thought about the previous night when I was raging through the forest. About how differently I experienced the world through the wolf's senses. And about the discomfort and confusion of changing shape. Not was, you are a werewolf. More willpower. There was no denying it. I was no longer human. They made me a monster. What about the... Yeah, let's talk about the rest of your stuff, huh? I could use a phone and a wallet. I remember having them on me yesterday, I laughed bitterly. Before I met you all. You could track them down. Your sense of smell would be better than it was before. But later. Now? We need to talk. We just stood there for a moment, comfortable in silence. I was wondering how one usually learned that they were a werewolf. Well, if I asked Olga about her story about her werewolf ascension, it will definitely reduce the willpower that I just gained. Let's go about that. So how did you become... How did you... You know, what a brilliant conversationalist I was. Hey, you're nice, it. Maybe you can learn from that experience. That sounds like me, honestly. A werewolf? Well... Olga ran her hand through her hair. I was born here, you know. I always knew I was different. You mean a werewolf? You always knew you were a werewolf, I asked? I always knew I liked girls, silly. Okay, that's not what she was asking, but you know, okay. She shook her head and continued. So I went to study in Warshan. For a moment, everything was fine. I met that really nice girl. I mean, I felt happy for her, let's just say. I can only imagine how great it must have felt like, I smiled. Olga was silent for a moment, lost in her memories. Then she continued. Okay, werewolves, not werewolves. Yep. Probably is a good case on that. So Olga is continuing to be not the greatest comfort in this entire thing. I tried to make conversation and it just didn't land. We went pottery one night and 3 dudes attacked us. When I came round, they were lying on the ground with their guts ripped out. My girlfriend was nowhere to be seen. Alright, what happened next? And then, I was curious, what happened next? Frankly, it's none of your business, Olga bristled. I already told you more than I wanted. Swell! I used it up my willpower to try and get a better understanding of why you're such a female dog. And this is what comes out of it. Great! I'm ready to stand by your side now. It doesn't make any sense. It suddenly struck me. How comes nobody knows werewolves exist? We protect the veil. A poetic term for the false assumption that the supernatural does not exist, which the delirium reinforce. What's the answer? It's easy to convince humans that supernatural doesn't exist. They already want to believe that. And the delirium. So what does this say for the delirium? Doesn't really say much. Can we scroll down? No. The madness and memory loss suffered by humans who look upon... Oh, their kind. Huh. I didn't know that. You mean delirium as in the medical condition, I asked? Remembering something that I read about acute confusional states. You'll have to ask Pat for that. But the gist of it is that humans are incapable of remembering that they saw a Krynos, the half-wolf, half-human war form. Okay. She laughed. They panic, turn around, instantly forget. Every time. Oh, but what if I want Anya not to forget? Then I realized something important. The wolves have awoken. At some point, the rest of the party had awoken and joined us. The clearing was full of wolves. Fudgicles. The wolves were closing in on me, but they weren't really wolves, were they? They were werewolves, like me. Okay. So, I can choose from one or two things. Here. Either I accept who I am and cooperate with the other werewolves, or I deny all of it and escape into the forest. Now, if I escape into the forest, I wonder, well, I kind of want to go on this hippie route and see where that takes me. And I feel like if I continue to cooperate with them and accept my identity, then it almost makes me feel like I'm going to be very graphically, horrendously violent to the loggers around here. And that might not be the situation that I want brought to light. You know what? I'm going to be a pansy. I ran desperate and scared, stumbling over fallen trees, splashing through creeks, hiding among trees. I heard the panting and the rustle of the leaves behind me. I didn't hear the howl as much as I feel them, piercing my skin, gnawing at my legs, slowing me down. The path under my feet was straight and clear. All because Pushka, the forest, heart of the forest itself, is loyal to me in this case. The undergrowth parted before me and closed as I passed, offering me shelter. For a moment, I felt safe. Sudden movement! Did they catch up? Passing an old spruce tree, I realized I wasn't alone with the wolves. There was a white weasel jumping from tree to tree. It looked more like a shadow than an animal. To think I took you for the cunning kind, Gaia's child, it whispered amused. Now look at you, running blind. Oh yeah, because my cunning is basically at full capacity. It's insulted me. A second shadow, bigger and gray, burst from the bushes beside me. You're scared, the wolf growled at me. Stop right now. Was I hallucinating? I couldn't believe what I saw. It made no sense. I felt as if my brain was short-circuiting, trying to interpret signals not meant for human senses. Was it really a weasel? When I turned my eyes away from the weasel, it flickered, as if it was just a projection on a broken screen. One moment, an animal. A moment later, just an idea. When it talked, the air smelled of electric discharge, and I felt like the woods displayed directly in my mind. But hallucinations or not, they just wouldn't leave me alone. Who were they? That's a good question. Who on earth are you, I asked, exasperated, yep. The wise and benevolent animal spirits sent to enlighten you. I thought that was what the weasel said. Because you were scared and stupid and ran away. Yeah, I am stupid! Hello, Krishna Kai. Greetings and salutations to you. Welcome to the stream. These spirits are basically calling me a pansy, and I completely concur. Hey! I just found out I'm a werewolf. Cut me some slack. I don't want to kill anyone. I'm a hippie. I want to do peaceful protests and protect the environment. And look at these wolves. Look at these wolves in the background. Awoo! Yes. In some circumstances. Seems like shit. Okay, yeah, that sounds right. I mean, we did play Grounded recently, you and I, so, yeah, that probably seems accurate in this case. I'm being called out, and I cannot deny. The weasel laughed. Welcome to Werewolf 101. Please fasten your beast fur. Yes, it can be. Let's let them talk. I didn't slow down, but I let them talk. As they say, better the devil you know. In the beginning, there was Gaia, aka Mother Earth. And she gave birth to a mighty breed of warriors, the weasel began. It sounded electronical, like a teenager reading a Wikipedia page over a voice chat. I wonder how outdated that would be once, if Wikipedia is no longer in existence. They were called Garu. So that's the werewolves. Werewolves and werewolfish. It's werewolfish? I feel like they made that up entirely. They could have done so much better. Okay, sounds good, Krushnek. Sounds good indeed. And the sole purpose was to protect Gaia. They failed. Ooh, wailed the wolf. The path split in three. The path straightforward until then split in three. One path I knew. It led to an old oak on the hill. The others were unfamiliar, with the first leading to a bright clearing, and the second deep into the dark woods. There were shadows moving between them, whispering to me. Let's go with the wolf. There's danger everywhere, shrugged the wolf when I looked to her for advice. Thanks for nothing. The weasel cleared his throat and continued with the lecture. When time began, Gaia released 3 primal forces upon the earth. The Weaver, manifestation, symbol of order and pattern, okay. The Willed, manifestation of symbol of pure change. The Chaos of transmutation, elemental force. And the Whim, manifestation and symbol of evil, entropy, and decay, and Garo belief. The Wind was the untamed force of life and creation. The cold, ruthless Weaver gave structure to the world, and the Whim destroyed. Lovely, pocket-sized, delectable. Destroy what needed to be destroyed, Clayton Barons. Let's see. Let's run towards the light. I ran toward the light. I had to get my bearings. The Weasel started laughing! But then the Weaver grew too ambitious and trapped the worm within its lifeless web. The Weasel started laughing. And I realized that the clear had been cut through the forest to make way for power lines. And now I lose health. The worm went insane and turned against all the creation. The Weasel's voice became distant, but the Weaver didn't stop. A 1,000 high-pitched voice exploded in my ears, speaking words I could almost understand, overloaded with me with stimuli. Is this? It's calling me out here. Now I'm feeling the burden. Now it's getting a bit too real for me. Change! Called a snarl command. I think it was the wolf. Suddenly I understood. It was as if I have always known, always had this set of skills. I'd only chosen not to use them up at this point. I felt like I was about to stretch after a long day of sitting down and learning anatomy. It would be painful, but I wanted to do this. Let's clear the mind. I cleared my mind and connected to my body. I changed. Okay. Let's see here. So I can actually choose my form. Let's see here. Galbro is strong enough to lift heavy things without breaking a sweat and intimidate. Cronus is a war form, a ruthless killing machine. There's nothing subtle about it. Probably don't want that. Hispo is a monstrous wolf, smart, fast, heavy, and absolutely scary. Lupus is the war form, a majestic animal with all its advantages and limitations. Looks great on camera. Let's go with Galbro here. The pain was stronger than I ever imagined. I felt my muscles spasm as they rearranged themselves. My jaw cracked and my mouth filled with blood. I clenched my fists and claws drew into my palms. I screamed. When I rose, panting and sweating, I was more than human. I was Galbro. Wolfish, strong, scary. The change hurt more than I expected. The world shifted. Not much, but enough. I felt my teeth and got sharper and muscles stronger. My hearing and sense of smell became heightened. But I'm losing health here. I clapped my hands over my ears to block out the noise. Let's phase the noise out here. I concentrated and phased the noise out. I checked my clothes. They were dirty, but intact. Now, Gaia is dying, eaten alive by the worm and choked by the Weaver, the Weasel said as it climbed on my shoulder. And some choose to ignore the Weaver, snarled the wolf, but I prefer to fight it. Let's prick those ears. I heard wolves getting closer and closer. Our packs are almost here, the Weasel said, jumping up and down excitedly. Be a good cub, growled the gray wolf, and stay put. Alright, let's wait. This time I decided to wait. I was tired of running. They packed together around me, and although they were wolves, I understood every word they said. You need to see something. And we ran. You're a cub, so you have special privileges, says the Weasel. Pushka will grant you a vision. You must see to understand, said the wolf. Think carefully before you choose what to see. Okay. So let's see. God, what? This picture right here is giving me a lot of very vibes, I feel. Like, this almost looks like an altered beast, like, version of the entire thing. It reminds me of Altered Days with the wolf head and the big muscular body. Let's go to the wolf's den. I feel like being in part of the forest is the way to go. It was hard to find the den, although I knew where it was. I felt the pushka playing with me, twisting paths, blocking my way with bushes and dead trees, and then suddenly opening a new path that was straight and full of sunshine. Let's push on. Determined, I pushed on. Since the change, I had become acutely aware of how my body worked, and I remember what humans were good at. Running. Away. Oh, and there's the wolf head right there. Yo, look at those eyes. Woo. Stubborn, relentless, long-distance running. Not as fast as a deer, not as nimble as a wolf, but steady and without rest. So I ran. And then, I was there. Am I good at running away? I'm a blob, so basically I just go at a slow pace. I'm a slow pace, but it's kind of like It Follows. That one movie where the death just goes at the snail's pace, but once it gets to you, you're dead. Like, I'm coming up to you, it's like... Let's crouch down in this old den and looked into the hole. A sudden gust of wind brought with it the almost imperceptible smell of wolf cubs. I lay down under the tree and closed my eyes. Let's breathe in. I breathe in, and it fills me with peace and warmth. The wind rustles through the leaves, and the air smells of sweet dew and greenery. The sun shines on me. Well, this is an awkward photo. This looks like something I would do in college. A big collage of Photoshop images here. I close my eyes and extend my hands and feel my fingers dip into the thickness of the grass that covers the earth. Oh God, it's throbbing. The image is throbbing. It's like it has a heartbeat. That makes it even worse. Let's hear this whisper. I am the grass, it whispers to me. I cover everything except your ass. Your ass is grass and I'm gonna smoke it! Jeez, I remember that line back in the Attitude Era of wrestling. I think it was X-Pac who said it. And I always imagined it to myself, it's like, why would you have that as your insult? That sounds almost lewd, in a way. Your ass is grass, and I'm gonna smoke it. Do you have any idea how the hairs are back in there? How hairy they can be? Do you really want to smoke it? You don't know where that's been. Oh, yes, you do. It's been in someone's asshole. Maybe. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. That could have been the case. A bird flies over the forest. The trees move their branches like green, undulating waves over the endless ocean. Let's see some trees. I see trees that are eaten by bugs. They desiccate and die. Foresters. I see foresters cleaning the festering wounds in the forest to help it heal itself. I see humans living in the forest. I see a man sitting motionless against a tree trunk, and a little weasel walking down to him, curious. I am not alone. I see here. Here, you imbecile. I hear the mournful howl of a lonely, heartbroken wolf somewhere in the forest. Look again, it says. And the smell of ash and tears overwhelm me. Let's look. I see sickness. Oh, I was trying to see happy memories, but it's the complete opposite. I see trees that are eaten by bugs. They desiccate and die. The rage is building. Humans cut down the trees, but the bugs continue to thrive anyway. Yep, here comes the rage. The forest tries to heal itself, but nobody notices the sickness. Humans turn the forest into a desert. Yeah, anger is good to have as long as it's not an overabundance of it. And if there's an overabundance of rage in this case, I will be berserk. At least I've seen enough then. I have seen enough, I say. The absurdity of this situation hits me. I am a human. I am a wolf. I am a killer. I am a healer. And I do not know what to do. I feel like a part of the forest. I am the forest. The world says to me, let me work. Yeah! Get me more willpower. I think I understand what the forest wants from me. The world is one all-encompassing organism, and it can heal itself. It just needs help to keep the sickness at bay. A man opens his hand. There is an acorn there. A squirrel grabs it and runs away. I see a little girl laughing, delighted when she sees it. Let me open my eyes. Or my one eye. I opened my eyes and I saw the wolf looking at me.
Come with me. This is what the pushka wants.
She said to me,
There is no one else to be my cub. Come with me, child.
I mean, the belly button is my eye, mind you. And I cried lint. It's kind of painful. Just giving you a heads up on that. I mean, I am half human, so the human elements are still there.
I will nurse you and I will lick your wounds. We will kill together, we will feast, and we will be merry. The forest will grow.
I looked at her. And, perhaps for the first time, I saw her for who she was. Her pelt was marred with fire. Her eyes were smoking embers. Ash was falling from her heavy flanks. She looked old, aged, sad, and alone. I'm trying to remember who Kazan... Oh! Kazan was... the mother wolf who was part of that whole incident with the wolf cubs. I think that was it. She was Kazan's mother mourning her stolen cubs, howling in the woods, waiting for a response that never came. But she was more than that. She was also the Pushka. I feel like I've been butchering that name so much. She was also the spirit of the forest. The Pushka itself, wounded, hurt, violated, and mourning all her children that humans have killed. Oh, tea time! Look at that! Alright. So, within this moment, I'm just gonna take another quick break, as I am gonna grab myself some tea in this instant. So, you're more than welcome to utilize this time to grab yourself something to eat or drink, get yourself something, a good stretch perhaps, and use some hydration. And I will be right back. Hope everyone has been taken care of. Hopefully the audio settings have been alright. And then we'll continue onward with this story and see where we go from here. Until then, hope everyone's been enjoying themselves. There we go. I think you can hear me now. It was like going with a big old sigh there, but I have returned with my tea. A throat-soothing tea for this particular occasion. So, hope you were able to give yourself a good stretch. Bob? No. We're not related. Not in the slightest. He's blue, I'm pink. And he has an eye. I have a belly button eye. I absorb and he kind of absorbs. I don't quite remember from Monsters vs. Aliens. Not entirely certain on that one. But a part of me is a little bit relieved that I don't sound like Seth Rogen. Okay, maybe not. That was a little bit harsh. Okay, we're back with the game here. we're back with the game. So, where were we here? Ah, here we go. At least, that was what I thought when I looked at her. The wolf mother looked back to me, and something in her eyes made me realize they were trying to tell me what the Pushka wanted from me. Join me, she pleaded, or you can understand me. Only you. Yeah, let's go. And I accepted myself. And I finally understood who I was. The wind howled, the trees shook their branches, and the humans looked at the forest in terror. A lone howl pierced the silence like a single ray of moonlight in the darkness. Then there was another one, and then another, and then another. A choir of voices, triumphant and joyful. Let's get some health. When I opened my eyes, I was in a clearing. Around me, there were wolves. Huge, monstrous wolves howling at the moon. Let's see here. Werewolves just like me. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was a werewolf. Just like them. Good. You're almost ready now, said Olga, looking at me impatiently. Welcome to the Sept. Timber? I just listened. I realized that my survival depended on learning very quickly, so I just nodded and listened. We live in packs, Olga explained. And when packs unite to find a common enemy, they form a Sept. 2 packs though, huh? I realized that there must be at least 2 packs. Let's look at Cornell's friends. A young and black wolf changed into Pat, and Kim her moments later. We all that's left of the winter weasel pack, said Kim. A white shadow settled on Pat's shoulder. I smelled musk and electricity. Let's look at Daniel. Hi, Maya, said one of the wolves, changed into Daniel. He looked more real as a wolf, confident and relaxed. Olga and Lisa also stood up, human-looking again, their clothes rumpled. We are the pack of the mourning wolf mother, said Olga. They smelled of ash and tears, and for a moment I saw the wolf spirit among them. We are all Gaia's warriors, said Olga. In that we have no choice, but we can choose friends who will stand by our side. Let's be cutting a little bit. Is this war a necessity, I asked? It doesn't exactly sound safe. It's not. But if the whim wins, we'll all die anyway, Olga shrugged. The name of the enemy reeked of decay and burning oil. War is not safe unless you know the trick, Pat smiled. The trick is to make the enemies die first. Yeah, what if I don't want to join the pack, huh? Do I have to choose a pack, I asked, just to make sure. No guru can survive on their own, Olga stated the obvious. Obvious! I can't even pronounce words. You may not like it, but if you want to live, you need us in our support, and we need you. I have so many questions! I shook my head. What about the moon? Why did I hear the moon whispering to me, I asked. Luna gives us rage. That is why she's important, Olga said. And that is why you'll never be able to touch silver again. Delightful! Great! At least I can still touch gold? I guess that's a nice thing. What about the Sept? You are all from all over Europe, I notice. Is this like a standard for a Sept? I didn't even know that it was a stupid question or a smart one. I looked at Olga. Normally, the tribes keep to themselves, Olga grimaced. But we are in a desperate situation and had to form rather unorthodox alliances. There are at least a dozen tribes, Daniel interrupted. And I hope, Maya, that you will choose yours wisely. How did the spirits work here? What about the spirits, I asked? How does that work? The world creates a shadow, and we call it the Umbra. No highlight for that one, said Lisa. And in the shadow, every living creature, every emotion and idea, every important object exists as a spirit. That's all you need to know at the moment. Oh, lovely then. So if I got this all right, I've been constricted into an ancient war against the worm, I said slowly, trying to put it all together. And the moon gave me rage as a weapon, but I must avoid silver. And there's a whole secret world of spirits, I continue, and I have to join the pack and choose the tribe. Exactly, Lisa nodded. As for the tribe, there's only one person who can mentor you now that Cornell's dead. Olga is from the Black Furies. The almost all-female tribe focuses on atrocities committed against women. They know the mother is female, represent all the resentment and anger women harbor from 1,000 years of male oppression. Hated by other tribes because they only fight for half of the planet's inhabitants. I see. So, they wouldn't be called feminists, right? Maybe they do. Because they have been putting up with a lot of male misogyny, I suppose, in that case. An ancient tribe of women warriors. Strong save Gaia. Fuck patriarchy vibes. What about the family's tribe? Hey, what about my family's tribe, I asked. Lisa winced. Daniel sighed. Olga shook her head. They don't like that tribe. What's the matter, I asked again. Your ancestors were the Get of Fenris, and no one here wants to have anything to do with that tribe. Kim bared their fangs. They stand against everything we believe in. So, did I come from a tainted bloodline then? Does that mean that my blood is tainted, I asked? Tribe is not always a birthright. Sometimes it's a choice, Pat said. So choose wisely. Get of Fenris, a tribe of werewolf supremacists who celebrate the destruction of the human world that Father Fenrir promised at Ragnarok. Antagonistic to the other tribe, to the extent that some whisper worm taint. Hated and distrusted, many see him as another enemy in the war. Some war. I can't really see that far. It's the most radical. Yeah, I would like one of food. Well, unless they say humans are food in this case. Are the most radical girl supremacists that's ever marred the face of Earth, Kim scoffed. Like legit fascist werewolves. Some of them literally looked for Hitler! Okay, maybe I don't want to be a part of that type of group then. I had the right to know my legacy. Thank you for telling me, I said. I had the what? Screen, why did you black out there for a moment? You probably can't see it on my end, but I'm now seeing absolute blackness. The virtual, oh, there we go. Now I can see again. I had the right to know about where I came from. For a moment, we were all silent. I need to know more about the tribes. I wanted to learn more about the tribes and find an option that would really resonate with who I was. Okay, I'm trying to remember who is who. Yeah, the family who supported Hitler himself gave me so many bad vibes that my virtual monitor was not cooperating with me. Oh, well, I am in the need of some new monitors, regardless. Honestly, I have been thinking about doing a donathon sometime in the near future. I don't know if it's going to be in December or January, something to that degree. See if I can raise enough money, maybe have some goals involved with that. But as of right now, still not positive if that would be the right decision for me to go forth with. And I'm definitely not going to do it in December, especially this is the case of the holidays being about. And people like to spend their monies on, you know, Christmas goods or presents, anything like that. I'm trying to remember who is Kim, who is Daniel, and who is Pat. Maybe go with Daniel. I asked Daniel if he could join this tribe, but he didn't understand the question. I'm a red talon, he says, as if it explained everything. What exactly were red talons? That would be a good question. What are the red talons? I asked Daniel. It is the tribe of the Garou who are born as wolves. Okay, Daniel is the one with the stutter. Got it. Daniel explained. We usually don't mix with others. We kill humans. But since I am the only one here, I decided it was better to join the rest. Why? Why? I kept asking. He looked at me as if I was stupid. What are you, stupid? He asked the question later. Hey! I guess packs are important. There is always strength in numbers. I protect my folk better when there are more werewolves around. Your folk? Wolves. Let's ask about the wolf mother. The morning wolf mother? Daniel fell silent for a moment. She is Kazan's mother. She became a spirit after his death. But I knew she was older than that. It's impossible, I say. She must be older. Much, much older. Daniel looked up and then shrugged. If you say so, he answered. I still like her. She knows what it means to be a wolf. That's all I wanted from him then. Thanks. That's all I wanted from him. Let's go with Pat next. Pat was a glass walker, and her tribe was finding its niche in cutting-edge technological cityscapes among the strands of the weaver's net. It sounded intriguing. We talked for a while. What was she doing in the forest? So you're basically a city dweller, I observed? All city walkers are. It's our natural habitat. I feel quite out of place in the forest. But the Pushka was our home! Home! Why? I couldn't understand. The Pushka was our home. Maybe your home, she said, and suddenly I realized we have less in common than I thought. I'm more of a city girl, she added. We use the weaver to fight the worm. And the forest is not the weaver's domain. And I happen to be quite fond of humanity. They have great potential. Yeah, let's use up my willpower for this. How did you get Winter Weasel to be your patron? I was curious. I caught it, said Pat. Or rather, there we go. Rather. Starting to sound like Elmer Fudd in some instances because my pronunciation is horrible. Rather, I made sure it would have more to eat with me than alone. That's how you catch weasels. Forest spirit then? But it is a forest spirit, isn't it? I think it's a weasel, so it gets accustomed to live where there is food, and right now it's the city. It hunts electricity spirits these days and feasts on them. I had to think it over. Finally, I stopped asking. I had to think over what I've learned. Let's go with Kim in this case. Kim told me a lot about bone gnawers, urban werewolves fighting for the disadvantaged and the marginalized, children of the rat. Do I really want more willpower used up on this case? I guess we do. It is always about prejudice, said Kim when I asked for their story. That is not what I wanted. I asked about how you became a werewolf, I clarified. Patience, darling. Kim waved her finger at me. I've seen it all. You know, I was born on the day when the Berlin Wall was constructed, and after my family was cut out. They looked somber. Oh, Pat is the... Oh, okay, Pat is the trans version. The one with the all-rebellious look. I ran away from home when I was 13 and hung out with some really weird crowd at the zoo station. I read that book. I think I read the book. It was a memoir of a homeless teenager with a drug habit. I liked it there. There were animals, we lived like animals, but I liked it. Kim shrugged. You see, I always knew I was a werewolf. My family was full of them. I went through everything you can imagine. Punk rock, Berlin squats, drug dealing, gay clubs, you name it, I was there. Some will find that to be a paradise. I nodded and Kim continued the story. And there always were some sad prejudiced pricks. Prejudice, it's the worst shit. All those little constructs in their brains that poison everything they do. But do they really have a rat as a patron? Do you really have a rat as a tribe patron, ask? Sure we do, Kim answered. It's a very good patron, resilient. You want to be like a rat, always managing, always afloat. That's mine, the Bone Gnawers. They stand for the rights of the poor and the disenfranchised everywhere, making the homes of fellas, squats, and camps. Hated by the uptribes, they act like tame dogs, eating the scraps of the human table. Oh, really now? Protect every single guy as child, no matter how small, because we are all valid. They sighed heavily. Now tell it to the other Gowan, and they look down at you because you are a bone now, and they think they are superior. Prejudice. Prejudice everywhere! I don't know. Part of me wants to go with Kim's club. I asked Lisa about her tribe, but she inherited a Subarak legacy from a Buryat grandfather. She said I didn't know the proper legends, customs, and culture to join. Oh, let's see what that culture is like. The hate, sorrow, and rage are deeper than any other tribes because the icy Siberian homeland is melting to decaying. Now, they are despised by the other tribes as half-breed loners who care only for themselves. How did she become a werewolf then? How did you become a werewolf? I asked Lisa. My grandpa saw that I had a soul of a wolf. Started teaching me about the spirit world. She looked at me with her violet eyes. When the time was right, he guided me through the change. Grandpa, I realized that I had more in common with Lisa than I previously thought. My grandpa was telling me stories about the Pushka, I said, and I think I've made me who I am now. Oh, he did more then. He must have told you about the Garu, Lisa said. How else would you know the High Ton? That was a good question. Let's see if that's a Russian word. So, I asked Asha how to approach the topic. Sibarak. I mean, you're from Siberia. I hesitated and Lisa smirked, but the tribe name reminds me of something. Yes, Sibarak. She pronounced it differently, so it sounded like a Polish word. Must have heard it before. Yeah, I'm sure that I heard it before in a different context. In Russian, it means someone from Siberia, but in Polish, it has its own very specific meaning, Lisa explained. It's a word for political prisoners exiled to Siberia, and there were tens of thousands of them. So why are you using the name in this case? That's what I'm curious about. Even if it has such a loaded meaning, I couldn't understand. Lisa sighed. My tribe name describes both of my legacies. My granny was a political exile, my grandpa was a Siberian indigenous. I use it because it speaks the truth. Ask about the Wolf Mother then. What about the Morning Wolf Mother, I asked. She's mighty and powerful. There was a tone of deep respect on Lisa's voice. Well, tell me more then. She is old, very old. We don't know much where she first appeared here. I think she is the avatar of the forest. Well, what did she want? Well, what does the Wolf Mother want from us, I asked. I keep asking myself the same question, Lisa halted, looking for words. She knows how to find a way to people's heads. Lisa looked at me for a moment, deciding what to say next. I respect her, but sometimes I think she gets into Olga's head too much. Olga lets her in, and the wolf pushes. And I don't know. Maybe it's the right way to do things now. I might be a little bit hesitant on the Wolf Mother here. She's been talking to me a lot, I admit it, and I'm scared of her. And look! Lisa's friendly now because I admitted my petrification of the Wolf Mother. Delightful. Yes. Yeah, you gotta be careful out there with your Christmas expenses. Especially with inflation here and again, with the prices always going up. So, yeah, donathons, definitely not a safe thing to do during December, I think. You gotta make sure people have enough money to hopefully, basically, afford stuff for their families. Or just to be there as much as possible in some regards. Or just for yourself. So yeah, if there is ever gonna be a donathon, 'Thon, it will most definitely be sometime next year. Hey, Oddly Odd, thank you so much for the raid. Much obliged, much obliged. Welcome, raiders. Greetings, salutations, hello. I am Cuddlymuffintop, a half-human, half-blob VTuber who comes into the virtual world through the wonders of human slapstick. We are currently playing Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. We are coming to terms with our werewolf likeness, or just say a werewolf identity, and we're basically trying to see which tribe will be the best one for us. So let me give you a shout out here, Oddly Art. Hopefully you had a good stream. Oddly, and let's just say Art. There we go. So, feel free to basically follow Oddly Art if you haven't already. Here is a shout out for them right now. And then we can do the other type of shout out. There we go. You were playing Death and Taxes.
Hey there, welcome. We're playing the Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, the Darkest Dungeon. That's a game I haven't played in a long time.
Leading only, I fear.
Did bit of scuff as usual. Well, there's not a lot of streams that go without some scuff. I know I've had some moments already today.
And on its writhing path, you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors.
Well, I do miss those terrors, even though that game has always been a tricky one. Yep. Scuffness abounds. Well, thank you so much for bringing your community. Hopefully the game was enjoyable despite the scuffness. I have heard about that game, never have played it yet. So now, let's see. How did she come into Poland? That's a good question. So, how did you get here, I asked. Well, my grandfather, there we go, was from the old tribe from up north, proper north, Siberian. Her voice was trembling. We are spread around the world now, because the old Siberia is gone, melted, rotting. Well, I came here in search of a better life, through the forest, illegal. Still wait for my papers to be sorted. Oh, so she's a legal immigrant then. Ah, death acceptance movement, I see. I did hear about that aspect. Aren't you afraid they'll catch you? You are not. I searched for words. You're not exactly hiding, I said finally. Lisa shrugged. You know, I do things here and there. Help with the tourists, help with the forest. And my moonshine is the best in this province. Moonshine! Delightful. Besides, I made a pact with spirits. They watch over me, distract people when they get too nosy. I kind of want to be a part of that tribe. Thanks. That was all I needed to know at the moment. Look at all these werewolves. One thing is bugging me, I said. Why are there so many of you here? Suddenly everyone in Balvaranska is a werewolf, or what? You know nothing, cub, Olga laughed bitterly. A mere century ago, there were dozens of packs in these forests. But none of the old guard survived the 90s, Lisa shook her head. We had to start from scratch. Not counting you, there are only 5 of us. And only 3 local, Jack pointed out. Barely enough for 1 pack. Anyway, before you are admitted to a tribe, you need to prove yourself. Oh great, a test! Prove myself? I was shocked. Haven't I proven myself enough already? Apparently not. You went through your first change, Pat said. She was leaning on the tree nearby. And you know everything you need to know at the moment. But you have to go through the rite of passage. Daniel rubbed against my leg, excited. A vision quest. Kim winked at me. And since we don't have time for tests, we need you to solve a real problem, Olga stepped in. Namely, want you to find a way of ending this logging problem. Risa wrapped it up. So, how would you like to do it? They all looked at me in anticipation. Let's take my time. I took my time, overwhelmed by everything that happened. My old self was gone, replaced by a shape-shifting eagle warrior. Yes, I am a bit of a hippie. But deep down, I was still the same person with the same ideas and ideals. I knew what to do. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Let's frame the loggers. We need to frame the loggers, I decided, and then use the leverage to bring down the whole operation. Lisa rolled her eyes. You are all blind and ignore our most powerful ally. Lisa rolled her eyes. There are many spirits in the Pushka and we should talk to them. Oh yeah. I continue with my plan. I'll load the loggers to protect the area and record what they're doing, I continue. When it hits the internet, the authorities will have to ban the logging. Pat grinned. I know exactly the place you need. That you be. Sounds so good like a two. Rake the bash. A cunning tricks and unconventional tacticians. You were born under a new moon, weren't you, Maya? Wait, how did he know? I looked at them surprised. How did he know? Mom always told me that when she gave birth to me, the night was so dark that she was afraid something had happened to the moon and stars and that we're alone in the dark sky. I nodded. All right. So looks like I'm under a new title. You're right, I nodded. How do you know? Daru born under the new moon are tricksters and questioners, said Pat. Just like you and me. You are the most cunning in them all, she winked. And our path is the perfect mix of glory, honor, and wisdom. Your place in the world society will be determined by your renown. You can earn glory through defeating mighty enemies succeeding at dangerous quests. You can earn honor by following your moral imperative and upholding the laws of the Garu. You can earn wisdom by acting efficiently and thinking well before you act. Your renown will change as you play, contributing to Maya's selection among the Garu. Yeah, I feel overwhelmed. Olga must have sensed my confusion. Come on, we have a lot to discuss, she patted my soldier. And we have to find your phone and wallet. So let's follow. I nodded and followed her. I had to tie up loose ends in my old life. Back to beginning. I am sitting on the bus. The sun streaming through the windows is making it hard to see. The narrow road cuts through a dense old forest. Hey, this is the beginning of the first chapter! I remember doing something important, walking among the trees looking for something, losing something I loved, gaining something unwanted. But then I'm fully awake, and the memories scattered away. We're almost there, said Anya. I did some searching. She looked at me from over her phone. This place is amazing. That's primordial forest in Europe. I'm excited to be there. I know, right? I smiled. Oh! Hello. Oh, well, this is some imagery right here. Hello there. This is, nice. Okay, I know, right? I'm not able to finish. I start to cough. I spit blood. My throat is sore. My lungs hurt. Anya, I need help. Anya. I turned to her. She looked at me worried. You should drink something. Here. She pulls a bottle from her backpack and gives it to me. I take a sip and feel something dry and acrid in my mouth. And then it starts to move. Spiders! Oh no! I spit it out and see thousands of small spiders leaving my mouth. Threads of silk cover me, the seat, and everything around us. Okay, let's fight. I tried to fight them, but they are too small and there are too many of them. And after a few seconds, I am covered in cobwebs, unable to move. There's a hiss! Well, this is getting into some nightmarish territory here. And then slowly, a long, dark, bloody shape comes out of Anya's eye socket, pushing the eye out. A black snake that reeks of rotten meat, acid, and oil. Don't fight, Maya. You're already mine, it says. Just like your grandpa. And then it kisses me! Ah! Okay. 2 more chapters. think we can maybe get this all finished up tonight. Let's go with the plan! Yeah! The plan! Plan! I woke up in my bed in the B&B, the bed and breakfast, of course, and for a moment thought the whole werewolf business had been a dream. Then I heard muffled giggling, looked up and saw Anya and Bartek looking at me from the other bed. You caught us! But I thought you stayed with your German friends a bit longer, said Bartek, embarrassed. We knew you were alright, Anya chimed in. Wait, are they in the same bed? Are they frolicking together there? There was so much to talk about. I didn't know where to start. Let's be worried about them a little bit. Are you alright, Ask? I was worried about you. Yeah, said Anya, scratching her head. After we were separated in the forest, I got lost and Bartek found me and we ended up here. I sighed with relief. They were telling me what they thought was true. They had no recollection of seeing werewolves. Oh yes, because when they see them, they completely forget. Okay. So Pat was right. The human mind couldn't cope with seeing the Krenos. And when delirium ended, the subconsciousness patched the holes in their memory with something rational. But how are you feeling? Asked Anya. Yeah, how am I right now? I'm alright. Sorry for disappearing so suddenly, I said. Because what else could I say? Let's tell a vision of the truth. I got lost in the forest. Technically, that was part wasn't lying. Then I stumbled on the activist and I kind of got carried away. I wanted to tell her everything. I packed my bag in silence. I felt a rift growing between me and Anya, and I felt a sudden urge to tell her everything. Let's tell her something she could understand. I couldn't tell her the truth. I was a Garu, and I had a sacred duty to protect the veil hiding us from mortal eyes. But I could tell her something. I learned something important about myself, I said, and I have to follow it for a while. Sorry for this sudden change of pace. I sighed and continued packing. So, are you leaving? Asked Bartek. What about the forest? I didn't know how to answer. I shrugged. Whatever the reason was, it was now Maya the werewolf's problem. Maya the student was dead. Let us know when you figure it out, said Bartek. We'll be waiting, Anya hugged me. I mumbled something, took my bag, and left. I dropped my bags in the camp and ran through the plan one more time. They expected me to act like a Rangabash. Those born under the new... Okay, but Lisa had to propose another plan. One more spiritual. Let's go with the spiritual path. Because I liked a little bit of conflict here and there. I needed to talk to the spirits of the forest, and for that I needed Lisa's help. She was the only shaman in the two packs, and a good one at that. Wait, how did you know that Lisa was a good shaman? That's the question I would like to know. I don't think they ever basically told me or explained like exposition how Lisa was a good shaman, unless I completely forgot. Before I could face the spirits, I had to attune to the Prushka and learn the proper rites and means of addressing the spirits. Give me that willpower! After a few days of camping in the forest, fasting and meditating, Lisa said that I was ready. The spirits of the forest were waiting. Alright, give me those spirits, let me become one with nature! The sun was setting. We stood in the middle of the clearing and waited. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and chant the proper words. I chanted the proper words and called upon the secret names of the forest. Then we waited. First, there was a murmur, then a whisper among the trees. A rustle of the leaves in the quiet, windless night. Let's close my eyes. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, Haruka's comes to mind here. I'm surprised there hasn't been a remix yet of Haruka's for that one song by Bastille. Pompeii. Instead of hey-o, hey-o, it goes hey-o, hey-o, hey-o. Maybe I'm stupid for having that little mindset there. But cheers. Cheers, everyone. There, tea is all done. I closed my eyes, and the smell of feathers in the night washed over me. Something whispered inside my skull. A voice like small claws scratching bone. What do you want? It asked. We needed help. Send the wind and send the rain, O great forest, I chanted. Drown the machines in the mud. Break the dead trees so they fall on their heads. Help us break their teeth. The rustling continued and the scratching became almost unbearable. Yes, whispered the voice inside my skull. But there is a price. I didn't know what to expect at this point. I tensed up, not sure what to expect. Hunt us, young one. Find and catch us, and then we will help you. Then the presence was gone. Lisa smiled at me. Go, while the scent is fresh, she advised. You can do it. Let's go ahead and change. Let's see. Alright, let's go with... Something about this form always does the trick. There we go, yeah! My muscles spasmed and rearranged themselves. My jaw cracked and my mouth filled with blood. I clenched my fists and claws drove into my palms. Panting and whimpering, I changed. I was more than human. Wolfish, strong, scary. Let's look around. I turned around, helpless. There was a rustle in the leaves, but it fainted away. I couldn't see anything apart from vague shapes, shadows against the darkness. Let's change it to something else. Maybe a lupus would be cursor. I doubled down in pain. My arms and legs crackled and twisted. My skull fractured and reset itself in a different shape. Fragments of bones crawling under the skin. My skin was rippling and sprouting fur. I howled in agony. When the pain subsided, I was lupus, a wolf, seeing the world in smells and sounds. Let's sniff. I was on all fours, my nose full of scents, my ears full of noises. I turned my head left and right, sniffing the air. There! There! I caught the scent of a distant shape hiding among the trees. It was a stag, pretty and lithe, a perfect vessel for the spirits. It stood there for a moment, and then it caught my scent and bolted. Maybe I should change that in this case. Here we go. The pain was overwhelming. My spine cracked and twisted. My knees and ankles broke and I fell on the ground. My jaw shattered and rearranged itself. My whole skin was on fire, rippling and sprouting fur. I howled in agony. When I rose, panting and spitting blood, I was Hispel, with strong paws, mighty jaws, and a mane of fur. More than a wolf, scary and monstrous. The stag was fast, but I was faster. I smelled its fear and heard its hooves beating the ground. With every pounce, I was closing the distance between us. Let's focus on the hunt. I blocked out everything apart from my prey. The forest faded away, leaving only us and the hunt. I was getting closer. I could smell its sweat, hear its heartbeat in the darkness. It was almost too easy. I launched from the ground with my hind legs and landed on the stag's bite. The hunt was over. I held the prey down. I changed to get a better grip. I growled and changed. I was Gabriel, wolfish, strong, scary. I pinned my prey to the ground. It went limp and then started struggling again. And I realized that the spirit that was chasing was already elsewhere. But it was too late! I was being deceived! Dang it! Something moved behind me. Something big. I changed. Let's go to this floor. Pain hits me like a wrecking ball. Every bone in my body breaks and moves and resets. I roar in agony. Panting and growing, I rise and rise and rise. I'm an 8-foot-tall killing machine. I attacked. I turned to attack, but when I saw what was behind me, I stopped in my tracks. At first, I thought it was a bison standing there with his head lowered, but then it straightened and stood on its hind legs. Ivy was wrought about its arms, and its eyes were dark and wise. Maya, it said in a voice so deep it shook my bones. It's you. I attack! I hit the forest straight into the chest with all my might. Its swing knocked me over. The monstrous bison slaps the side of my head. Let's see here. I push. I pushed it all with all my might and felt it stumble. Let's see. It's a hard fight. It's a hard fight, but I don't stop. We fight and nothing else matters. Suddenly, the beast collapses and almost crushes me. I barely escaped. My body reset to itself to its familiar shape. Bones broke and fused again. Muscles and sinews moved under my body. I cried and thrashed. Then I was human again, with keen eyes, nimble fingers, and a silver tongue. A wolf in sheep's clothing. I rolled away at the last moment. Stand up! I rolled on the ground and stood up. The spirit was looking at me with its dark, inscrutable eyes. There we go. You fought well, it said, its voice like a clamor of birds now. We will help you. Yay! I bowed my head. Thank you, I said. When I looked up, the spirit was gone, but I knew the Prushka was watching and waiting for my sign. Nice! I did well! I couldn't wait for the Sept meeting that morning. Closing the deal with the spirits was my rite of passage, and I knew that I did great. Yes, you did! Go, Queen! Woo! I couldn't believe that I made it this far. We met soon after the sunrise on the same clearing when I woke up for the first time as a Garu. Lisa looked at us all and smiled. Our patrons were looking at her expectantly, so she stepped towards the center of the clearing. I and the Thurge, those born under the crescent moon, are mystics and seers, dealing with spirits, interpreting visions and omens of the Sept. And I'm here to make sure we do things the right way. Let's hold my breath. She turned to me and I held my breath. Maya, come forth. Are you a cub who seeks recognition as adult? I answered. I am, I answered solemnly. Oh, my pronunciation of some of these words it's been screwing me up a little bit. Are you an applicant to a tribe? Lisa asked again. I confirmed. I am, I answered. Who speaks for the cub? Asked Olga, stepping forward. I do, Lisa answered. I'm Sonia the Siberek, the urge of the Morning Wolf Mother Pack. I observed the cub on my mission and here to tell the story. Wait, Let's see, how would I go about this? Sonia? Really? That sounds kind of badass. You just replace that with the A. The O with the A, it'll be like Sonia. Thinking about that lovely, big, muscular woman from Russia, it fills me with a lot of... You can pick me up and use me as a gun anytime you want. Okay. Oh, I'm getting a little bit choked up there. Okay. Secret names? Cool. I wonder if they all had cool secret names. They probably had. I love the ancient spiritual vibe at all. Has the cub passed the challenge? Asked Olga. Of course I did. I grinned because I knew that I had passed. She succeeded, was the answer. She fought bravely against overwhelming odds, and she succeeded. Lisa turned to me. Have you chosen your name? Lisa told me. My new secret name. Suddenly I remembered my grandfather talking about his old friends. He never used their real names. They were always Thunder, or Gray, or Needle. Needle? I don't want to call myself Needle. Give me some thread then, so I can make myself a nice sewing machine. I always thought it was a gorilla thing, some kind of war names. Now I wasn't so sure anymore. How to capture my whole life, my aspirations, my personality, my heritage in one name. I cleared my throat. Mist, a name with more than one meaning. Iskra, which was Polish for spark. Pine, a tree in the forest. Enigma, a mystery. Okay, so whatever name I choose is going to be the name for me. Honestly, I feel like Enigma is probably the best one because I've been kind of going back and forth on my position all this time, it seems. Like, I've never really been going the right path, and it seems like a lot of them are just basically not knowing what moves I'm going to make next. Kind of like a trickster in a way. But chat, in this case then, my chubby checkers, which one of these names do you think will be the right entitled for my character here? You think that Enigma is a good choice? Or maybe I want to be a Pine, or Iskra, or Mist. Mist almost sounds like I always pee, like everywhere I go. Pissing everywhere. This is my mist. Please don't pick Mist. Now I'm regretting everything. Oh, yeah, maybe I don't want to be Mist. Mist sounds a bit too scandalous. Maybe a bit too much. Oh. You know what? I'm not hearing any responses. So, this might be up to me in this case. This is my choice. And I'm not going with Mist. That sounds too repugnant for me. A bit too... What's the right word? Fruish. No, that's not it. That's not the word. What's the... Fruzy. That's it. Let's go with Enigma. My new name is Enigma, I answered, thinking how I was a mystery, even to myself. As for the tribe, choosing a tribe was another matter. Okay. Okay, who's the Black Fury again? Not entirely sure in this case. Trying to remember what each of them were. Maybe I should double check real quick. Werewolf the Apocalypse. Here we go. Let's see here, because I can't quite remember the roles. I already have forgotten. Let me think. Let me think here. What is a good choice to make for this one? I can't remember. I already have forgotten what each team is all about. Lovely. Great. Alright, let me see here. Let's see. Let's see. Let me think. Trying to think. Why is it that I can't remember which one is which? Why can't I remember? This sucks! Why is it so hard for me to remember? Let's see. Let me think. You know what? Let's go with the bone gnawer. I think that will be the one that I would choose. There we go. After getting to know all of them better, I decided to become a bone gnawer. Kim agreed to mentor me. Only one thing remained to end the ceremony and make me a full-fledged. I had to join a pack. As my fate had been already tied with the Wolf Mother, I chose her as my patron and joined Olga's pack. There was no love lost between me and Olga, but I was a valuable addition to her pack and she was good enough and leader to recognize it. Whoa, so I'm on Olga's pack now. According to ancient rites, Lisa painted the mystical gift of my tribe on my sternum. I disappeared after a moment, but whenever I closed my eyes, I could feel this warm touch between my breasts. Enigma, the Bone Gnawers, Ragnabesh, the Morning Wolf Mother Pack, welcome to our set, she said solemnly. Howl for me! Howls rose toward the sky. They sang about ancient laws of war, status, and secrecy. I remembered only a few. Come at the worm wherever it dwells and wherever it breathes. Submit to those of higher station. Respect those beneath you. The veil shall not be lifted. There we go. I threw my head back and howled with my sect. I was a cub no more. I was ready to tell my own stories, to earn my own place in the pack, to howl my own songs. Alright. There we go. Oh! Okay. We're already on the last chapter. I didn't think it was gonna be so soon. Alright. I think we can get this done tonight. Alright, let's see what the storm brings then. Are we all set? Am I set? That's the most important question. Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. Okay, maybe not because I almost dropped my water bottle. Oh my word! What happened? This is like the second time in 2 weeks that I almost lost my water bottle, especially during my unarmed karaoke stream while I was trying to sing "Take On Me" by Aha. I don't know if I'll ever do another karaoke stream. It felt very lonely. But let's not dwell on that. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm all done with my tea. Let's see here. There we go. The tea is gone, and little buddy, you might not want to see the atrocities here. There we go. Alright. Let's get it. All these whispers calling to me, basically. It was one of those blistering summer days where the asphalt melts, the grass withers, and the air smothers those brave enough to step outside. Despite the heat, it felt like the whole village was at the funeral. This is for Cornell, isn't it? I stood there, surrounded by people weeping over their loss, looking at the rosaries they clutched in their fists. Something tightened in my chest. The body of a hunter has been found in the forest. The circumstances of their death were unclear. It was our doing, probably. It was our doing. My doing. And the death had tipped the scales. Did anyone suspect that I was responsible for the death? I didn't think so. To them, I was just a strange girl, harmless and far from home. They looked at me but didn't really see me. I could feel the tension seething around me. This death, this funeral had pushed the community, already weary and frightened by the recent disappearances in the forest, to the edge. The world was watching. The press had swarmed to the funeral like flies. They were reporting on how the illegal logging was a danger to both the ecosystem and human lives. The police were watching the crowd with disinterest as they leaned lazily against the trees. The political status is so potent! Suddenly, Pruska Balovansky had become politically charged and the hottest place to be in Poland. And it wasn't the only local politicians and activists from both sides who caught wind of the commotion. The Minister of Environment himself had driven to Bałtycka to attend the funeral. He was standing next to the priest conducting the ceremony. As I hear a car desiring to rev a section right outside. Hey, we got an unconscious body on the ground. Don't make him wake up. I need to be in my block before more. You know, my unconscious, something that I should... Oh, and I hear the crows and the ravens outside too. Sometimes I always wonder if it would be better if I put in earplugs before I do slapstick. That might make hearing noises because I'm such a light sleeper that even if I hear like the faintest sound, it can oftentimes wake me up. And that's why I wear earplugs at night. Whew. But I think I should be okay. I'm looking down. He might have passed gas though, so it's probably... He's having one of those toxic dreams. Great. I hate that. Surrounded by police and what looked like a handful of bodyguards. The coffin went down and the crowd stirred. Everyone started lining up to throw a handful of dust on the coffin or put flowers on the grave. I felt someone joining me. Just look at them, said Lisa, joining me. Nobody wants us here. They fear us but would never admit that. I wish things were a little bit different. They have their reasons, I sighed. I wish things could be different. They would want us gone even when we went in the gallows, she shrugged. From the outside, we're activists fighting for the Pushka. But for the local, we're just strangers barging in and telling them what to do with their lives. We were exactly that. Well, we are strangers barging in and telling them what to do, I shrugged. But sometimes you need a stranger to see what you have before your very eyes. Nevertheless, she was right. The crowd was not happy seeing us there. And the minister knew how to use that sentiment. Bless you. I watched in disbelief as the priest handed him the mic. He wasn't someone you call a good speaker. He repeated some platitudes, but it was clear he only come to show his face and tighten the leash on the local logging companies. The crowd listened, silent. Let's see here. Do I want to really escalate things here? Let's see. Let's go with the plain neutral route for now. I realized the conflict was only going to escalate. But with the forest on our side, we could end the logging at any time. Let's be ready to negotiate. There had been a storm in the previous night, but when the final showdown started, the sun was at its most merciless, and the world was almost white with heat. The air smelled of herbs, bark, and tree sap. Insects buzzed lazily in the high grass, stunned by the summer sun. Setting up that protest, yeah? The day was stifling as we set up the protest. The whole clearing was decorated with banners, and we all had up placards. Placards. I feel like I butchered that term. The banner we hung on the National Park headquarters the week before was just a warm-up. Wood is the enemy of the forest was our main slogan, but there were many more. My sign conveyed my anger. I want to protest against greed. I wrote something constructive. Let's see, protest against greed. The pushka is not a commodity, declared my sign. You couldn't put a price tag on 200-year-old trees, but that wasn't going to stop them trying. There weren't so many of us, but everyone in the clearing knew why they were there. The pushka was watching us! The pushka was watching us. Every time a gust of wind was bringing the wet smell of the forest to my nostrils, I felt her strong, steadfast presence. She knew that we were doing everything in our power to save her. Heavy clouds were hanging low over the trees. The spirits were gathering to support us in the final moments. Let's feel that presence! Be one with nature! I could feel the immense presence of the forest, whose life was a myriad of smaller lives interconnected into one superorganism. And then I looked at us and them and smiled bitterly, because I realized that both sides of the conflict saw the others as the sickness and themselves as the cure. The pressure was almost palpable. and tempers were flaring. Let's look at the pack because we need to be together. Everyone knows what to do? Olga asked, looking at my pack. I'll keep the security guards occupied, nodded Lisa. No, guard the Pushka's perimeter, growled Daniel. I glanced at the weasels. The weasels were in their positions among the protesters, as agreed. That left the cops to me. Let's see. Let's keep their eyes on them in this case. I'll keep my eyes on the cops, I said, and we'll make sure the activists are safe. Yeah, that's the plan. Olga nodded with a bitter expression. I see those cops gather. The police were nervous, huddled in groups and shouted at each other and everyone who was in their way. They clearly didn't want to be there. Makes you wonder why then in this case. It was apparent that they were waiting for something. Alright, time for the boiling point. It reached boiling point when the minister arrived for the photo op. Let's attract some attention then. It looked like we attracted a lot of attention, for better or worse. I knew he was in for a nasty surprise. The reporters closed in on him, shouting uncomfortable questions about the legality of the login and his forestry policy. In hindsight, you could argue that what happened next set a chain of events in motion that had life-changing consequences for many. What to do with this one? Did it start earlier than that? But change didn't happen just like that, but at the moment I didn't know that. Let's go with the middle. I feel like change doesn't happen immediately. There's this notion that change is sudden. Movies and video games will have us believe that it takes one moment, one decision, one knock-on effect to turn the tide. But the world doesn't work like that. It works like a forest, like the pushka. Change is like growth. Change is a slow, barely visible process. A series of decisions, yes, but also coincidences of chances being taken, people doing what they can to survive. Change is like growth, and we have grown. And this can apply to people that want to change as well, because it's not some sudden thing. It's a gradual process to lead you in the right direction. Because oftentimes it's about asking questions about where you can go from here, what you can do in order to atone for whatever crappy action you take, etc. So yeah, this phrase has a lot of meaning, especially for me. The members of my sept have already moved to their positions, and I also have my part to play. The minister was bad news. With him at the scene, everything will get harder, I sighed, pointing at the minister. Olga nodded. We went back to regroup. The activists, humans and werewolves alike, listened as we told them what had happened. The atmosphere was tense. We prepared ourselves for the worst case scenario. Okay, let's move, I heard someone say. Move it, people, move it! You know what to do! And they did. There was a lot of laughter and friendly pushing. Chains clicking, and some people darted up the trees to see themselves in the branches. But I had other plans. It's now or never, I thought, walking toward where the minister was finishing his interview. It was time to play a little trick. I opened the top buttons of my shirt. Then I tossed up my hair and flashed my best smile at the minister. I saw Erica among the turners giving me thumbs up. She was supportive, but suddenly I started wondering how the internet reacted to what I was about to do. Is she gonna bear? Oh my word. The minister's eyes darted down to my cleavage. I could see him starting to stutter. So predictable. Whether it was Poland, America, powerful old men were all the same. Slap him. I gasped and slapped him, holding the shirt together with my other hand. Flashes went out, the journalist jumped at the scandal. The minister went beet red, caught off guard by the shame and confusion I caused. It worked! The talk started then and there. I could see that the minister was an apt politician and that he could smell a deal for himself in it all. But I didn't really care. We got in what we wanted. We started to talk. Alright. It would have been funny if I flashed. Oh, I got to be the negotiator. Nice. When the talk started, we weren't alone. The sudden storm that evening made us all huddle in makeshift tents, and the forced closeness helped to break the ice. Many old, rotten trees were toppled by the wind, and we used the occasion to move the discussion from trees being cut down to whether fallen trees should be removed. So, we started talking, and it became big. I don't know what tipped the scales in the end. The press, the international attention, the local interests coming together, or passion. Looks like the talks weren't easy then. Finally, an agreement was within our reach, but the talks weren't easy. The state forest, the woodworkers, the local population, ecologists, I think I said that right, ecologists? Probably. Butchered that, maybe. Scientists, activists. Everyone wanted something. I was by no means an expert, but I wanted to play my part in the proceedings. Let's make sure the talks were fair. So I decided to observe the talks and make sure everything was okay. The situation called for someone cunning and quick-witted to take notes. The talks went on and on. Let's get those opinions out then. Everyone at the scene had their own opinion and their own point of view, and I had mine. Let's talk the bark beetle. In the middle of it all was, of course, the Spurs bark beetle. How could someone so small cause a gigantic uproar? The beetle have always been a part of the forest ecosystem, pointed out one of the ecologists. But the recent droughts made the Spurs more susceptible than ever, the foresters countered. We have to cut down the trees to stop a total disasters. I saw one problem with this approach. I didn't trust the officials, because our willpower is at only at 1. I didn't trust a word that came out of the officials' mouths. The beetle was not a reason for the logging. It was an excuse. You fetishize the forest, scoffed one of the officials. People cultivated it for hundreds of years and cannot survive without our help. He's right! You want to take our forest from us! A group of locals attacked the activists. You're not from here, you tell us how to live our lives! It was not just a forest. They looked at the Pushka as it was just another state-owned commercial forest. But it wasn't. If they had to change their lifestyle to save this unique ecosystem, maybe they should. Opinions clashed, tempers flared, but eventually new constructive ideas started to emerge. At least one of them caught my attention. The area should be the national park. International observers could help. Winning local populace was essential. Where would I want to go with this? Maybe go with the national park so it can be preserved? There was a recurrent idea to make all forests in the area part of the Belaruska National Park. The logging would be impossible. There would be much more money for tourism. It was a long and a hot day. I rubbed my eyes. I was so tired I could barely keep them open. My head was spinning. Let's keep going then. But I kept going. What was a little heat stroke when so much was at stake? Let's continue the talks. Of course, they had to make it dramatic. There were cameras, there were lights, and the negotiations lasted all day long. We reached the first draft of an agreement literally at sunset. I had no doubts. They only decided to stop the logging because they realized there was something in it for them. But at the moment, I just looked at the sky and laughed. I felt overwhelming relief. And then my exhaustion caught up with me. I found a quiet spot, sank to the ground, and fell asleep. Oh. Okay, we're already at the epilogue. Honestly, I thought it was going to be more graphic. Or maybe because I didn't take a much more vengeful path. Alright. I never thought it would end like this. The humans surprised me. Yeah, sure, the humans were important, but they were the problem we needed to solve. Not the problem solvers. And yet, in the coming weeks, they proved to be just that. They had plans for education, for patrolling the forest. Hey, no worries there, Rampage Sigma. Thank you so much for stopping by, and hope you have a good rest. Ta-ta for now, then. For patrolling the forest, for making a permanent camp near Belaruska. I didn't know how to process it. It was all well and good, but I felt hollow. The logging did stop. It was quiet. The logging had stopped, and I was proud I had a hand in it. I talked with people, listened to their ideas, and shared their enthusiasm. We planned, we joked, we laughed. At some point, I found myself sitting near an old local woman. She smiled at me, all wrinkles, missing teeth, and bad attitude. Let's not politely. We probably don't want to show. You're the young Borozhinska people have been talking about, aren't you? He asked when I acknowledged her. Yeah, I answered, unsure what would happen next. She laughed. Well, I was a little worried when I first heard about you. I mean, goddamn werewolves always make such a mess. Let's play it cool. What are you talking about? I asked, trying to play it cool. Don't try that with me, young lady. I knew your grandpa when he was young. She winked at me. The problem is they're always looking for another glorious battle. So what, were we useless? So we're useless, I sighed. Don't be stupid. You act on impulse like children or animals. When you want to do something, you just do it, she laughed. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. She smiled at me. But this time, you managed to actually help do something good. We'll see what happens next. Let's go ahead and smile. I smiled, satisfied. Time would tell if she was right. We gathered in the clearing, which I first woken up as a Garu. Lisa stood in the middle of the clearing, the wolf and the weasel circling her and each other cautiously. Olga, honey, she said, looking at the Black Fury. It is time to decide the Sept's fate. Olga nodded. There was anger in her eyes. It won't last. The peace won't last, she said, clenching her fist. I killed Cornell to prevent this, but here we fucking are. That night, the rifts that divided our sept proved inconsolable. Kim and Pat left. That night we fought. Harsh words were exchanged, feints were bared, but no blood was spilled. Later, Kim and Pat decided to return to Germany. They said that they preferred a slight change for a chance to do the most heroic of stupid, glorious deaths. I let them go. I watched them go. Olga approved of my decision. Lisa and our patrons made sure that we did right by Garu law and the sept matters were resolved. But more had happened that summer. But it didn't cover everything that had happened that summer, though, so some consequences will have to unravel with time. Yay, Daniel introduced me to some wolves. Later, Daniel introduced me to the wild wolf packs living in the forest. We would spend a lot of time with them, searching for the lost Garu cubs we hoped were out there. Anya and Barak were still alive, that's good. Despite everything that had happened, Anya and Bartek were still alive. They had a summer fling they would both remember with a smile. We would disappear from each other's lives slowly, our paths too different to keep up with each other. But it was all still ahead of me. For now, the first chapter of my new life was coming to an end. And it was all from the forest. I come to Belawanska to learn about the forest, and now I knew it. I was a part of it, its protector and its weapon. But I loved the Pushka, and I knew she was watching over me. Your story is almost over. This might be a good time to take the last look at your character sheet. Alright, let's see here. It looks like I have a lot of honor and a good amount of wisdom here. Okay. It's complicated. Okay. Alright. Late that night, I was sitting with my back against a tree older than the country I was born in, watching the stars. They were moving, dancing around me, and it was only after a moment that I realized they were fireflies. I watched the bugs glowing with their inner light, writing fleeting love poems on the dark vellum of the night. I smiled, thinking about their brief, beautiful, intense lives. Then I stood up and went back to our camp. We still had so many important things to do. And, okay, that's the end. That's the end of one of the paths. Okay. You have finished Heart of the Forest. Cubs gather around the fire and listen to the story of Mia Borodich, known among the Garu as Enigma of the Bone Gnawers, Ragnabash of the Morning Wolf Mother Pack. Her tricks hurt only those who deserved it. Maya managed to negotiate a fragile peace and stop the harvesters. The change had begun. The first protest against the logging of Bielanska's forest took place in 2016. The game was loosely inspired by those events. All characters and events depicted in this game are entirely fictitious. Oh, so they really were protests during that time. So this was based on real events. Okay. Oh god, look at that image. Ha! That's a face that you wanted to see. Yep, that's the face that you will see in your nightmares then. Kind of makes me wonder what kind of screwed up disturbing imagery would have been if I took the more violent path. Nice, I like that. Nice Photoshop look. And I think the main people behind this game were Polish instead. And there's different Tales website. Oh, this must be the song that's playing right now. Late World by Roby Crush. I might have to listen to this later. Oh, maybe this is it. Might be this one right here. Barala. It's the Raw Folk Band. Yeah, they might be this song. Oh, isn't this the face that you want to just cuddle up with and make sure to pat them on the head and wish them all the goodwill? I think it is. Look at those sharp teeth. Alright. Yeah, I kind of want to check out this band afterwards. Nothing about those good folk bands. The Masquerade, and then this. Oh, is it restarting the song? It might be. Yeah, I think it is. Alright, I think we're almost done with this. Unity. Yep. Written in ink. Alright, there we go. We did it. We got one of the endings, and that was Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. We got 2 games finished up today. Or tonight, in this case. Gorogoa, the puzzle game, and this. Nice. I'm actually proud that I was able to get these all done. So, with that said, tomorrow night is going to be a different experience. A more rhythm-based, very flashy experience. Just want to give everyone a heads up to those that maybe have a history of epilepsy or seizures, as well as an oversensitivity to flashing lights, because tomorrow night's game is going to be Sayonara Wild Hearts. A big rhythm game that came out a few years back, that got a lot of critical acclaim, and it does have a lot of flashing imagery. So 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, please make sure that if you fall under what I just mentioned earlier, remember that it's quite alright to skip out on that stream in general, just so you can give yourself, you know, some good old cautionary? That's not the right word. Some good old caution in regards to that. Because I wouldn't want anyone to basically feel the circumstances involved with that game in particular, because from what I saw, it is incredibly flashy. But yeah, that will be the game that I'll be playing tomorrow night. And we should be able to finish up that game in one setting too, because that's a relatively short one. I think it's only about an hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken. Or 2 hours, depending on how bad I am with the game. I mean, I almost was double for the time of Gorogoa to an extent. So, I guess for now, we will switch over to this. So, thank you so much for tuning into tonight's stream. I hope people were able to enjoy it. I did not expect Werewolf the Apocalypse to have that kind of imagery, but then again, it was supposed to be a horror game with a bit of a hippie ending at the time. Kind of makes me wonder how the other endings turn out. Like, would it incorporate more of that disturbing Photoshop imagery? It almost reminded me of something that Don McLean, that artist who used to do the artwork alongside Neil Gaiman. That one book too with the werewolves, like the satirical play on the Three Little Pigs, I think it was. That was an old book. I can't remember the title of it, but I know that artist did. Let's turn down the music a little bit here. I know that music had a little bit of, let's just say, that kind of imagery. Except more for kids, of course. So, I guess this will be where we end the stream.